Good evening, everyone. It's Weather United, and welcome back to another video on this fantastic Friday evening as we are tracking some very heavy lake effect snow across the Great Lakes as very cold Arctic air continues to impact much of the eastern half of the U.S. Now, I wanted to briefly update you all very quickly on my grandpa, as a few of you have been curious about his recovery process at the hospital, and I have some good news. He is doing a lot better. He's talking much clearly. He's making better sentences after his stroke that he went through about 2 weeks ago, and he's starting to really gain momentum on the right side of his body, which is good news to hear, and it's much more enjoyable to hang out with him a lot more since he's able to have a conversation. And since he's much happier with his sense of humor already back. Now, the only bad news that I have in this video is the amount of cold air and very intense heavy snowfall that is falling over the Great Lakes. That lake effect snow is in full swing with feet of snow that has already been reported in portions of Buffalo, New York over the last couple of days. It's been very rough there. And so let's take a look at why that is here on the satellite imagery. So first of all, we have this very cold Arctic air that is coming in out of the northwest here over the northern tier of the United States, part of large-scale troughing of low pressure that is over southern Canada, just north of the Great Lakes, and this is bringing, again, very cold air aloft. And anytime you get that cold air aloft, you get these really warm lake waters, relatively warm than the surrounding air. Right now, water temperatures are in the upper 40s to mid 50s, and that's going to really kickstart the lake effect snow over Lake Michigan. We got Lake Erie here. We got some of the other Great Lakes here that is seeing a lot of that lake effect snow. And so that's going to continue for a while as long as we have this cold Arctic air that is in place. In fact, we do have winter storm warnings that are now issued by the National Weather Service. If you are in, say, Michigan, under winter storm warnings due to heavy lake effect snow that is really coming down there. We also have some winter weather related products that are issued a freezing spray advisory over portions of Lake Erie there. So heavy snow, freezing spray, it's going to be dicey out there. So this is going to continue for a couple more days before finally the pattern might be able to change that and we start to lose the lake effect snow. But by the time this is all said and done, we could be looking at another couple of feet or more in many areas. We could see isolated areas still could get 3+ feet of snow in some areas. So this is definitely concerning, and this is why I'm making a video on this today, despite me visiting my grandpa in the hospital. So speaking of that, we can see extreme impacts. If we focus in on Buffalo, you are now under extreme impacts. So we're talking about road closures, we're talking about power outages, we're talking about life-threatening weather conditions that are anticipated if you are in this purple area. If you're in the red area, of the Buffalo just to the north there near Niagara Falls. Niagara, I got it right. We are talking about major impacts, okay? And then if we go down to Cleveland and Erie here in Pennsylvania, we're talking about major and moderate impacts. So not quite as bad, but still bad enough to really cause a lot of road problems. If you're going on vacation for Thanksgiving, this is a big deal for a lot of you that want to get on the road early. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen due to the winter weather conditions that are anticipated. And then, of course, if you're in Michigan, we have moderate to major impacts that are anticipated due to the lake effect snow that is going to continue. And then, of course, if you're near Marquette here in Michigan, we're looking at minor to moderate impacts due to moderate to heavy snowfall that is still anticipated. So over the next few days, it is really going to be the Buffalo area, and also not to forget here, we're talking about portions here like Watertown under extreme impacts due to the heavy lake effect snow that will continue all the way through perhaps November the 21st through about 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this is a pretty big deal, and you all need to take this still seriously. It's not done by a super strong weather system like a nor'easter, but instead it's because of how cold this air is moving over these warm lake waters that is creating instability and moisture, and that leads again to the lake effect snow machine that will continue. So here's a look at the HRRR model, high resolution rapid refresh, and I like to use this because it seems to plot the moisture down pretty well, I would think, right? So we can see here by this evening, lake effect snow still coming down over here, over Lake Erie. If you're over Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, we're still talking about a lot of heavy snowfall that is going to continue, and this is going to really last all the way through Saturday morning. You can see that heavy snow band. My goodness, it's gonna be pretty rough out there. Now, again, these snow bands are very tricky to predict exactly where they set up. The HRRR model, the HRRR model we call it, is only as accurate as it shows here. So this could change just a little bit, and I mean a couple of miles will make a huge difference between not seeing much snow at all or seeing feet of snow. So take this with a grain of salt, okay? If you are under a weather advisory or a weather warning, please heed the advices by your local weather officials, because this is going to continue all the way through tomorrow night into Sunday morning. More lake effect snow will continue. So we're seeing lots of snowfall accumulations all the way through Sunday morning into Sunday night. Again, enough to really cause a lot of problems. Power lines could come down because of the weight of the snow. You're seeing feet, not inches of snow, and that really just exacerbates a lot of the problems. So here's a look at the snowfall totals over the next couple of days, because I want you all, oh wait, no, this is the last couple of days, sorry, a little confused here, okay? So 2 days in the making here, from literally November 16th through the 18th, we can see how much snow has already fallen. Marquette has already seen about 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. Over Huntington there in Michigan, about 7 inches of snow has accumulated. If you are in Petoskey, I think that's how you say it, we're looking at 6 to 8 inches of snow that has accumulated. So these areas really bracing a lot of that lake effect snow. Transverse City in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, you've already seen about 5 to 10 inches of snowfall. Kalamazoo, 7 inches. If you're in Flint, if you're in Mount Pleasant, you have already seen about 2 to 6 inches of snowfall so far. And then if we go down towards Buffalo, this is where more of the persuasive, heavy, aggressive snow amounts have taken place. Jamestown, 9 inches. Buffalo, they're 7 inches. If you're in Watertown, about 5 inches. Utica, they're at about 7 to 8 inches. But some of these other outlying areas here, seeing the more deeper red colors, you've actually had almost 20 inches of snowfall. That is over 2 feet or close to 2 feet of snow in those isolated areas. So just because other areas have not seen, say, a foot or so, well, there's a couple of areas here that you did see that much over the last 48 hours. Now, how much more additional snowfall is yet to come, you may be asking? Well, I have really bad news. Buffalo, probably another foot, maybe even 2+ feet of snow there in some areas. Jamestown, 8 inches of snowfall. And look at this, my goodness. Watertown coming in close to 30 inches of snowfall in the next about 2 or so days. That is quite the snowstorm there in that localized area. Syracuse, 1.8 inches. If you're in Utica, 2 inches. If you're in Kingston, Belleville there in Canada, 3 to as much as 13 inches of snow. Yeah, I mean, you go from one location seeing too much snow, then to other areas like to the south of Watertown, you may only see a couple of inches. It is all about where those snow bands really set up at. And then in Kalamazoo, you might see an additional foot of snow or so in the next 48 hours. Grand Rapids, 6 to 8 inches maybe. Muskegon there, about 3 inches. Transverse City there, 7 to 8 inches of snow could be anticipated in the next couple of days. So The snow is not done, okay? Just because it might take a little bit of a breather briefly does not mean it's done for good. You will see more lake effect snow before it's all done, and I'll tell you what, it's all because of that cold Arctic air. So taking a look at those very cold temperatures that will continue all the way through tonight, all the way through tomorrow, and yes, into Sunday. Let's take a look at that. Besides this, let's go into, say, Saturday early morning. Look at these temperatures. You're going to wake up to temperatures in the teens in Indiana, like Kokomo, Indiana, Indianapolis. If you are in Chicago, Indiana, going to be pretty dang cold out there. Temperatures between 15 and 20 degrees. But if you're in northern Minnesota, if you're in North Dakota, it's going to be cold. Look at those temperatures, single digits to start your day. And no, not much warmer tomorrow. In fact, temperatures may not even warm at all in northern Minnesota and Wisconsin. Temperatures will fall rapidly in Michigan. Another band of that lake effect snow really going to kick into high action, and that's going to bring in very cold temperatures. Look at this. Some of these areas could have temperatures as cold as 0 degrees, possibly even striving the long legs, striving for the stride for 0, -4 degrees perhaps in isolated outlying areas and wind sheltered areas. Yeah, you can see those very cold temperatures, and yeah, look at that, down at 8 and 10 degrees overnight into Sunday morning for Indiana. My goodness, gonna be very cold out there, and to add on to the breeze, it's gonna feel much colder. What about -3, -5 degrees in some areas there in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan? If you're in Wisconsin, Iowa, my goodness, it's going to be really cold. Let's backtrack a little bit. Sorry about that, folks. Yep, I want to show you this because Saturday morning, it is going to be really cold. Look at that. It might feel like -16 degrees in Minnesota, and then it continues all the way into Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. It might feel like about -10 to -18 degrees below 0 because of the wind and the cold temperatures. So yeah, if you think this is cold, it is going to get much colder by Saturday, by Sunday, as that renewation of that cold Canadian air moves on in. And so it's going to be pretty brutal out there for many locations. Make sure you bundle up deep and deep with several layers because you're going to need them. Well, before I do end the video, I do want to thank you all to continue supporting me during these hard times that I'm going through with my grandpa, as I am staying at the hospital quite a bit to keeping an eye on him to make sure he is healing perfectly well. And of course, that has helped clearly with my visits there with him. He's improving quite a bit, so I want to thank you all for that. I will try to make more of these videos if necessary. The weather pattern has been pretty calm, of the exception of the cold air and the lake effect snow that has been going on, but otherwise been pretty good. And as long as the weather pattern stays calm, I probably won't be making a lot of these videos, but as soon as things really get nasty and wild, hopefully soon or hopefully not, depending on how you look at it, I will be making a lot more of these videos for you all, including another monthly and seasonal forecast that should hopefully be released on my YouTube channel by the end of this week. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyways, thank you all for watching this video. If you did, make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below this video. Until next time, I will be back with you for more weather content.